Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the post-show wrap-up video here on the Central Pennsylvania Shrimp Tank. I'm your co-host Nathan Bowden, alongside Knock 'em Out Boxer Shrimp, Mr. Taylor Ranker.
Well, thank you, sir.
Hey, we had the privilege of interviewing Adam Vasquez of Merit. Actually, he does a wonderful blue steel, so if you see him next time, ask him about that. But find a full replay of this broadcast on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/CentralPA. Also, subscribe to our channel, specifically the Central PA Shrimp Tank on, well, anywhere you can get a podcast. And we just got done filming the podcast, and we learned a lot about his street cred, as we'll say it,
street cred,
and all the background experience he had getting into a topic that we're going to cover on this video called Market Invention, and why that's so relevant and really disrupting the marketing and advertising industry. And that's what our main focus is going to be today. So we actually, this is the second time, Taylor, we've blown through a break. We blew through our second break because everything Adam was talking about was just so fast.
We're going to have to refund the advertisers' money.
Yes. So I'll be expecting that check. Thank you. Oops. So again, check out that full broadcast on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/CentralPA. And Taylor, you wanted to lead in with a question?
Yeah, you know, it's been rumored around town, Adam, that you're a huge drinker and that Fanta is your favorite beverage. Is that true?
Yeah, Fanta Orange is probably not the best. Was that the red?
Well,
look at that.
Would you meet our local shrimp tender?
I love it. Hey, no plug. Fanta is not a client, but we are working at making them one.
Thanks, shrimp tender. Stay out of trouble, would you?
Cheers.
Big drinker.
That is. Well, actually, ironically, that you're not a drinker now,
right?
But we did learn a little bit about his history with Absolute. So again, I keep plugging. Go listen to the full broadcast because you'll find out his backstory with Absolute. So Adam, again, thanks for being on now the post-show wrap-up, but being on the podcast earlier, and just give a little quick intro of yourself and Merit, what Merit does, and then we'll talk about Market Invention.
Sure. Adam Vasquez, CEO and founder of Merit, or Market Invention Consultancy, where people pay us to invent sometimes billion-dollar markets, and that's what I do.
And he gave some great examples of working with TE and going down to Texas to work with
Solaire Holdings.
Yeah. And how all that experience led him to come back here and actually purchased, you may be more familiar if you've been around the Central PA area for a while, of Sakunis, correct? And now merged three companies together essentially to create this now Merit.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, I think Sakunis had about 10 clients at the time, and now we're getting close to 100 clients now, and it's been only about a couple years.
Well, and I think the team went from 5 to 50, if I remember.
Yep.
A pretty dramatic growth.
Yeah.
I want to dig into this market invention because it's something that it took me a while to get my head around, and I really want our listeners to really be able to quantify that, Adam, as much as you can.
Sure. So market invention is how all the industry leaders became the industry leaders. So it's literally existed from the dawn of commerce. But just like gravity, it took us a while to figure out. Or bacteria, it's been around making us sick. This has been around making a lot of people a lot of money, right?
Yep.
So, but it took some observation and actually in the trenches doing it to make it work and to figure it out. So if you like, diamond engagement rings were a market that was invented by De Beers to sell diamonds. Prior to diamond engagement rings, it was pearls and sapphires, sometimes nothing.
Yeah, I've engaged their market.
Yeah, so have I.
It's double the more say. I've engaged their market several times.
So and they did it well. My book Toothfish talks about the Patagonia toothfish, sets it up how that market was invented. Pet rock. Tesla's doing it now to the legacy market of the internal combustions. Apple exists because they invented a new market. I mean, it's every scenario.
What's that damn little cube that drives me nuts that I can never? The Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, Rubik's Cube.
A brain teaser that made them tons of money.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's a matter of just doing that and following the process and making sure you're clear on what is wrong with the industry or market that exists today. And
can you expound upon that there is in fact a process?
Yeah, there is a process, and that's why I say it's not Merit's process. kind of the first company or a group of people to figure it out because we were doing it and we realized, oh, this is actually a thing and it really does work. So it is a process and it's 4 steps, right? And every process has steps, but these are the highest level steps you can go with little overlap, right? So first is the market opportunity step, and that's identifying the new opportunity that the industry is either creating by not solving it, or they're causing it by the solution they take to the market, right?
Yep.
So, and it happens all the time, and we experience it all the time. And sometimes it's not obvious because it's something as consumers, we're so used to just dealing with it, right? Like tying shoes, Velcro straps on shoes. That was a market invention. It accelerated a lot of shoe brands. Remember Ruse, like Ruse back in the 80s, where the kangaroos and Ruse brand?
Yeah.
They exploded because they had Velcro.
And
right?
most of Taylor's shoes are Velcro straps.
Yeah.
I think you
That's
saw.
only because my waistline has gotten bigger and I can't bend over and tie them anymore. You bastard.
So it's like identifying that in the opportunity, which is going to be the future of the industry. Then it's invention strategy. It's like actually calling it and naming it, messaging, all of that stuff. What's the ecosystem? Because a market, like, so people say, oh, you're like inventing a category. Well, a category is a thing. It is not a market, right? So you can invent a category, but you have no customers for it. And it goes back to the old saying of like, if innovation worked by itself, then we'd all be flying Wright Brothers airplanes right now, right? But we're not. We're flying Boeing or Airbus, and William Boeing was a real market inventor, where Wright Brothers were innovators, right? Or inventors. That's all they were, right? So, and obviously we're grateful for what they did, obviously, but they couldn't figure out a way to commercialize it. And that's the key difference. So once you do that, then we get into the invention strategy, and that's like how to make the market, how do you invent it, what is going to make you number one in your region or overall. If you want to go global domination, this is how they did it. And once you figure that out, then it's time to execute, right? And implement it. And that's the make the market phase. That's the third phase. And in this phase, it's building your network, working with people, partnering. How do your customers, how your vendors, how your partners, how do those trade associations play in your market? Mapping that out and executing that, like messaging, sales team strategy, like all of that is part of it.
You said earlier the commercialization, or
that's really the commercialization.
Okay.
That's where really when you're in the market, getting feedback, you've hit the street, people see your messaging, you're changing minds, you're shifting the legacy market to your new point of view. This is when this is happening, and that can happen. It can take a while, but once you start seeing competitors come in, because remember, market invention works because advertising doesn't, right? If you're advertising in someone else's market today, meaning you're not the leader, you're actually promoting for their market. And I say this in the show, but I'll point is, pre-internet when we advertised, then we dominated because that was our only point of reference of things existed. But now post-internet, we can fact check everything. So when you advertise like some new product or service, somebody sees it, they're going to go see if there's other services available. They're going to go on Amazon. They're going to go on Google. They're going to go on YouTube. They're going to go see, and then they're going to buy from whoever they think is best. So if you do that, you're actually feeding number one. And so if you're not number one in your market, and you're advertising, you're actually feeding number one. And this is why a lot of changes don't happen. And
that's intriguing.
Well,
that's really intriguing.
Yeah, we talked about that with the Popeyes and Chick-fil-A example. I'm gonna try to research and see if I can find those numbers.
I'm gonna look it up too. Yeah.
But anyways.
So you're doing that, and that's where you're educating the market, and that's the make the market phase. And you're educating and building this market. But it gets to a point when now your competitor, whoever's the industry leader today, if you're not the industry leader, is going to say, dang, maybe they hire some McKinsey consultants to tell you that there's a fast-growing market that you've happened to invent, and now everybody wants to jump into that fast-growing market, that trend that's happening. And then once they start doing that, if you've done a good job in the make the market phase, your market's going to expand whether you advertise or not, and then everybody from content that you've created and everything else is going to realize you're the leader. You're going to get big with it. And so now they're advertising for you versus you advertising for them. So it's a whole sort of ninjutsu move, you know what I mean? Using their weight against them. And then what happens is after that, the fourth phase, so once that market matures, you need to move from educating the market to defending the market. And then starting market invention, because market invention is a continuous process, right?
Doesn't end.
Companies like Amazon has about 300 market inventions going on in one time. And people think Amazon as a e-commerce company. First off, AWS makes all their money.
Correct.
Right? They're Amazon Web Services.
Yep.
And second, they're a market invention company. And you talk to their product managers about this who have read the book and everything else. They're like, dang, this is what we do. So if you want to know what Amazon's up to, they're up to disrupting markets through their process. Now they follow it a little bit looser, but that's tightening up. And this is why they're so big and so powerful, because they're just a market invention company and they do 300 simultaneously.
There's one other thing I wanted. It was a word that Adam brought up several times: parity.
Yeah.
And I found that truthful but intriguing. Can you revisit what that means? In this context?
So if you're in an industry and you're sort of following industry expert advice, and they're saying, "Hey, read my articles,"
which we've done by the way with
well, I have
too,
and there's nothing wrong with it. You just need to know that they are looking at what everybody else is doing because they're researching your competitors. So if you go do that stuff, know that's keeping up with the Joneses. That's parity. That is not going to separate you because you're just doing what everybody else is doing. And all of us, I think, fall into that trap sometimes, right?
Absolutely,
you know, I mean, myself too.
Right.
And I always got a gut check. Am I really doing something different? So know that when you do that parity stuff, it may be important, but it won't separate you.
Right.
And then to your point, in the fourth phase, when we get back to the phases, the iterate and expand is the fourth phase, and that's when the defending the market phase. And you don't want to be like LifeLock, as we talk about, who thinks it's still, or doesn't know where it is in the process, is still educating the market when experience taking the high ground, saying that they're the best in the world at data protection, when LifeLock invented the market. Right. So
interesting. Well, Taylor, I've been trying to think about ways to describe Adam here, and a few I think descriptors popping in my mind. So educated, experienced, knowledgeable, energetic, passionate, but also confident. And I'm going to say confident because what he just went through is pretty much sitting right in this book.
It is.
And this is available to anybody, and he makes it available. So he generously provided a couple copies for Taylor and myself. But everything's in here. He's confident about this, confident enough to put it in a book and put it out there. And so that speaks volumes for what he's done and what we'll continue to do.
Exactly.
It's how it works. It's out here. So thank you. All right. So for our viewers who are watching, who have heard everything you said, and they're like, say, yeah, that is what we need. How do they find out about Merit and engage you guys?
Yeah. So go to our website, madewithmerit.com.
And Merit is MERIT. That'll be right below us, and the phone number as well.
Yeah, and if you want to read the book, it's available on Amazon. You can buy the book, the physical hard copy, or you can get the Kindle version, and it is actually on Audible as well. So 3 options. Try to make it. I'm an actual Audible listener. I do that more than reading, but try to give it in many ways as I can.
Awesome. Very good. Well, again, we had a great podcast. Check out the entire broadcast on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/CentralPA. Adam, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next week
Thanks
on
for
the
great
Central
taste in
PA
watches
Shrimp
too,
Tank.
Adam.
That's right.
That's right.
There it is.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.